afternoon, everybody. So if it's okay with Cristian, I think I'm going to make a start, just conscious of the time. So my name's Karen Hisco, and on behalf of DB Lab Supplies, I'd just like to welcome you all to today's webinar, Achieving High Aesthetics Using HASS Amber Materials. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for joining us today. We've got quite a few people, which is good. I think we've picked the hottest hour of the hottest day, so we do appreciate you joining us, and hopefully some of you are able to watch this from your gardens. So first of all, I'd just like to thank HASS, particularly Ben Kim, just basically for making this webinar happen, and all your support. I'd also like to introduce and welcome Cristian and Petri to the UK. Cristian, again, thank you for your time and support. I know there's a lot of work goes into these webinars behind the scenes, and we're sure you're all going to enjoy today's presentation. After watching Cristian's presentation, we hope this will just help you to gain a better understanding of the quality of the amber pressing and the milling materials. We also hope it will just help you to learn the ease of the processing and the subtle differences the materials can make to the finished restorations, and just making them so vivid and realistic. So before I hand you over to Cristian, I'm just going to go through a few basic Zoom housekeeping rules, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. If you could just ensure that your camera and your audio's muted. It's just really just so that we can ensure that the webinar runs smoothly and we don't have too many interruptions. We will be offering a Q&A session just at the end of the presentation. If you could just ask any questions just using the chat facility, and like I said, we will be going through those at the end of the session. If anybody's got any questions in terms of prices or costs for the materials, we will be answering those after the webinar, and they'll be answered by our sales team. If you try and view Zoom, if you can, in the full screen view, just means you'll get a much clearer picture of the presentation, and you'll be able to see the images a lot clearer. If you have any problems at all today with Zoom or your connection, if you just log back in, just using the same link that you've used to log in just now, and that should just bring you back into the meeting. So I'm now going to hand you over to Cristian Petri. So Cristian successfully completed his 2-year dental technician course in 1999. That was in Cluj in Romania. Following this, he did 2 years as a dental technician. He then left Cluj to travel to the US and Germany, where again he was working as a dental technician, and that was for almost 2 years. Following this time overseas, Cristian then returned to Cluj and opened his own dental laboratory, which is Oral Design. And more recently, last year, Cristian's also opened his own dental clinic, which again is based in Cluj. So since 2011, Cristian has been lecturing and publishing information regarding the fabrication of complex implant restorations with a focus on functional and aesthetics. He's also been awarded a number of awards throughout his career, which most recently includes the first prize in correct management of occlusal and aesthetic collaboration. And today, Cristian is also proud to work with HASS as one of their ambassadors. So I do hope you enjoy today's session, and I'm now going to hand you over to Cristian. Thanks, Cristian.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you everybody for being today with us. And thank you for the introduction. So let's start with today's topic, achieving high aesthetic results using HASS amber materials, because HASS, they have different kind of materials, but today we will speak only about amber, amber press, amber mill, and so on. As you already know, my name is Cristian Petri. I have my own dental lab. I have my own dental clinic in Cluj, in Romania. This is my young team on the left side. I'm Oral Design member since almost 3 years now, and I'm really proud that Mr. gave me the possibility to be an Oral Design member. today's question, maybe the first question of today is, are we working analogic or we go digital? Or let's say we combine both of them. I will not answer directly to this question. I will let you to see and have the answers into the lecture. And then at the end, I will try to conclude the answer to this question. As I told you, today we have different materials regarding amber. We have amber press, which is normal press ceramic, lithium disilicate. We have also Amber Master, which is a new product that will be launched in the next months. It's dedicated for high fusing ceramics. We have also Amber Lisi POZ that we'll see today. It's not just press ceramic, it's a lithium disilicate press ceramic for zirconia, to press over zirconia. And we have another category which is Amber Mill and Amber Mill Direct. Amber Mill and Amber Mill Direct is dedicated for a digital workflow or for full digital workflow. Amber Mill, it's a normal lithium disilicate, and about Amber Mill Direct you will see in the next slides. Let's start with Amber Press and why I decided to start to work with amber more than 5 years ago, and why do I consider that it's a better material? Because now on the market we have a lot of companies who produce lithium disilicate, and it's really easy to choose or to find those kind of products. First of all, if we just look on the right side of the screen, there are different materials from different companies, from multi-press, normal press, from GC, from Ivoclar, from HASS. And you can see that some of them, they do not have fluorescence, they are black. And you have to think that when you press, you glaze them and you put them into the mouth, when the patient will go to a club or to a restaurant and he will smile and will not be able to see his teeth, then will not look really good. Compared with other materials, Amber Press and Amber Press Master, they have really nice fluorescence, and you will not have this kind of problems or issues with your final restorations. Other interesting thing is that Amber Lisi Press, you can see on the left side and on the right side, similar product. It's a little bit bigger, and the weight it's more compared with other products, which means that you have more material inside. For example, regarding Amber Master, which is for high fusing ceramic, you can use Creation ZF or the Creation City on top, and you can see that you can obtain really nice and aesthetic results with both of those materials. Other material that we will speak today, and you will see real cases even after 5 years into the mouth. We have Amber Lisi POZ, which is a press over zirconia. So we have a zirconia frame, and then we press it over with lithium disilicate. And at the end, we are able to obtain really nice and aesthetic results, and also functional results. Amber Lisi POZ directly, you can work it also digital, but at the end you have to press it over zirconia. You cannot work it 100% full digital. What's really interesting that there is a chemical connection between Amber Lisi POZ and zirconia. It's not just a normal connection. And also you can see and you can find different good things about Amber Lisi POZ into the flyers. Regarding Amber Mill and Amber Mill Direct, they are almost the same product, but with different features. Amber Mill, you can see it on the left, and Amber Mill Direct on the left on the lower side. It's both of them, they are lithium disilicate, but Amber Mill Direct, it's a gradual translucent lithium disilicate, and you can mill it, and you have at the end a final restoration. You don't have to do any kind of co-firings or other programs to have the final restoration. Other reason that I choose to use amber mill compared with other products is that if you look on the right side of the screen, you can see an already milled premolar. It's just a little tabletop, and in the same image you can see a natural tooth, and both of them, they have the same fluorescence even if the final restoration is not with glaze and is not ready. You can see that the same block, amber mill and amber mill direct, the same restoration after milling, really nice results. The occlusal surface is really nice, and you don't have to work again really much to have the final restoration. Regarding the properties, before milling, amber mill is 250 MPa, and after the co-firing, we obtain a really good 450 MPa of the final restoration. Also, you can find into the flyers where you can use for thin veneers or inlays, onlays, partial clowns, everything is into the flyer. And I'm really, I think that the DB Lab can help you with this kind of information. What you can see now into the screen, it's a restoration without teeth preparation, really thin veneers from the canine to canine, made with amber mill, just glaze and cement it into the mouth without doing build-up ceramic. As you can see, amber mill direct is a gradual translucency, and you can mill really nice restoration at the end. But let's speak more about amber press, which is our topic for today. It doesn't matter if you press amber normal or amber master, you have to follow some really good important rules. For those who work more analogic, it's important to know that we have different kind of rings. We have 200 gram ring, 100 gram ring for pressing. Also, what I use into the lab every day, it's a new ring with 2 plungers, or you can use the Trix press system from the Gamma, which you have 100 gram muffle, 200 gram muffle with 1 or 2 plungers, or 380 gram muffle up to 3 plungers. Also, if you work half digital, half analogic, there is a new option with Trix Press that you can take the add, design the pressing device and just print them and then invest. What's also important when you work press, that you have the option to use a single plunger, which is made of aluminum oxide. You can use it multiple times, not just one time, but also you have on the market disposable plungers that is just for one-time use. Regarding pressing, there are different techniques. One is from up, where you can press just one plunger and one ingot or 2 ingots in one plunger. And also there is the option with Trix Press, where you can press up to 3 plungers, up to 6 ingots. Why I like this option? Because you can press it from down, and you can press even full arches with amber Lizzy POZ on top of zirconia. Also, of course, you can use the same technique for amber press or amber master. Those are the few things which I can say to you directly, that why I decide to choose and work with amber and not other kind of press ceramic. And also for those who are interested, you can find on the internet a journal called where you can find technical information and made by the universities. Regarding the protocol, if we speak about analogic workflow, all of you know that we have we receive into the lab an impression, then we do the mold with hard work. At the end, we are able to obtain the final restoration. But if something is going wrong, then we have to take it from the start to do maybe sometimes again the model, just to re-wax, re-sprue, and press again and sandblast. Regarding the digital workflow, sometimes we receive an intraoral scanning information, or maybe we just scan into the lab. We do the design, we do the nesting, we mill it. Doesn't matter if we mill in wax, doesn't matter if we mill in lithium disilicate directly, it's the same procedure. And then we have the final result at the end, the final product. What's important here is that if we do a mistake, doesn't matter when, we just can go really easy back, and the computer or the machine will redo the work for us. We don't have to redo it by hand. For this to have the correct information and to have a correct workflow, it's important to know that we have to invest money into the machines or into the courses for this. And with the right information, we are able to go from analogic to the digital workflow. The same protocol, it's important to be done by the dentist if they want to change from the normal impression to an intraoral scanning. They have to do a lot of investment and, of course, to have the correct information. But let's see the today's workflow. We have the information from the lab or from the dentist with an intraoral scanner. We received information by photos, and all this information goes into the computer, and then we mill. Doesn't matter if we mill it in wax or we mill it in lithium disilicate, and or we print it, as you have seen in the previous slides. We print it, and then we invest and we cast or we press it. Sometimes we have small mistakes, or the results are not in the way that we want, and all the time we think that the mistake, it's even the machine, even the software, or even the computer. But all the time, the mistake, it's in front of the computer. So sometimes, or most of the times, we are the mistakes, and we have to know where we have to change something and how to change something to be able to have the final result in the right way. Let's see step by step how we work into the lab and how we are able to obtain good results at the end. Doesn't matter if we use amber press, amber mill, amber master, or press over zirconia. First case for today, this is the data acquisition from the dentist, how we receive it into the lab. It's a non-prep case with amber press on top and a little bit of build-up ceramic. What we do first, we do a wax up. Doesn't matter if it's analogic with wax or we do it digitally, but for this time, the first case is more analogic and less digital. Then the dentist did a mock-up, did the small preparation in some areas, but for the frontal teeth, everything it's without preparation. And then we have to insert this information into the laboratory. Everything what we have done, the wax up, and then we mount into the articulator with the cross mounting option, the upper jaw, then the lower jaw, and we have at the end the correct information into the laboratory. And then we decide what we can do. What I usually do when I have this kind of cases, I do a silicone index of the frontal teeth or for all the teeth, and then I take this silicone index on the working models. And with this silicone index, I can decide if I can do build-up or I cannot do build-up. I can decide if I choose to do all the works monolithic and just 3D stain, or I have to speak with a dentist. But for this case, if you just look on the left side, you say, okay, we have enough space for everything. But when we look on the right side, we see that the space, and when we do a silicon index for the vestibular side, we can see that the space for the buildup on the frontal region, it's more than less. And sometimes it's impossible to build up also ceramic on these areas. What I have decided to do for this case, we go it step by step. First, I use the tooth. I just use die harder and then a little bit of spacer on top. And of course, when everything is ready, just an oil to do the isolation between the plaster and the wax. And then using the wax, it's important to prepare the veneer or the crown by analogic workflow really well. And on the margin, it's important to know that all the time I use margin wax. Why? Because the margin wax has less contraction, and I have at the end really good work. Of course, all the time we have to take care of the veneer. We have to take care if we have a prepared tooth, or as is this case, without preparation, we have to grind the wax to have a really thin veneer, also to have space for build-up ceramic. And this is the end result with the wax on the model, everything prepared for the pressing. On the posterior regions, you can see that we have full anatomic areas because we decided to do it monolithic and not build up. Also on the implants, the same thing. Everything is monolithic, it's fully morphologic. All the time I check into the articulator all the time to see if I have a correct function and if I have the correct contact points, even if it's in wax. After that, I use the spruce, the same protocol like for every press ceramic, 2.5 or 3 millimeters spruce. The length maximum should be 5 or 6 millimeters. And then I cut them in the way that I want. I remove from the die. And one good tip and trick for today is that it's important to not have sharp edges. All the time you have to be careful and to have round edges, because when you press the ceramic, if you will have sharp edges, sometimes it's possible to break the investment, and at the end you will have bubbles or different inclusions into the veneers or into the crowns. Regarding the shades for amber press, you have a lot of shades from bleach 1 to C4. Bleach 1 is W1, in HT, LT, and MO also. Another good thing from amber is that you have two different sizes regarding the ingots. It's R10, which they are normal ingots, and R20, which is the double size when you have a lot of veneers or crowns to press, and you can use the big ingots, or you can use 2 big ingots for the restoration. As I told you, on the posterior region, doesn't matter if it's on prepared teeth, non-prepared teeth, or on implants, we always go with monolithic restorations. Why? Because there is no risk of chipping, and it's fast, and I like it because I do not have any kind of issues at the end. Regarding amber press for low fusing, the normal amber press, regarding the protocol for pressing, you can see that we have a program. Always I start at 700 degrees, and the maximum temperature is 950. Another good tip and trick for today is that you have to do first a test of your press furnace. Not always 950, it's 915, it's a good temperature. Maybe you have to raise with 5 degrees, or you have to lower with 5 degrees. depending on your furnace, depending on your procedure. Regarding Amber Master, which is a new ingot dedicated for high fusing ceramic, you have to press it at 945 degrees. The rest is the same like amber press. What kind of mistakes or what kind of errors we can do when we press? If we do not have the right temperature of the press furnace, then we have a cold muffle. And as you can see on the left side in the circle, then we do not have at the end the full pressing, and you have to repress it. That's why I recommend you to do a test at the beginning when you have a new furnace or you have to change something, to be sure that the real work will be okay at the end. Regarding devesting, because also here we can have some issues, or we can do some mistakes if we do not pay attention. First of all, what I recommend you can devest using 110 microns aluminum oxide at a pressure between 1 and 3 atmospheres. And when you are close to the restorations, you have to change to glass pearls, maximum 4 atmospheres. And what I like at amber press, I never use devesting liquid, because there is no reaction between the amber press and the investing material as it is in other materials. As I told you, sometimes we can do mistakes. As you can see on the left side, I have a small crack on my tabletop or on my inlay after pressing. And what was here the mistake? I used too much pressure with the aluminum oxide when I start to go sandblast, and that's why I have a crack. The recommendation is to use at the end just glass pearls for sandblasting. So after sandblasting and checking on the model, you can see from the K9 to K9, everything is just thin shell, and everything is prepared for build-up ceramic. After build-up of the ceramic, this is the end result for the lower jaw. The same thing from the K9 to K9 build-up ceramic, from the premolar to the molar, everything is monolithic. And you can see on the models, even if they are without preparation, the amount of the enamel that I had to replace on this case. And regarding the parameters for glaze, it's important to know that when we have a combined case, and as this one, for the posterior region, we have monolithic. On the frontal region, from the K9 to K9, we have build-up ceramic. When we speak about build-up ceramic, the glaze parameters are lower. When we speak about monolithic, the temperature is higher. Also depending on the material that you use for stain and glaze. And ready result, minimal invasive case, in some areas without preparation, in some areas with preparation, and 2 implants. All the time after you do the glaze, another good tip and trick is that you have to recheck the occlusion, you have to recheck the function, you have to recheck the contact points between the teeth, and just after that to send it to the dentist when everything is rechecked again on the model and of course on the control model. This is the end result before to be sent to the dentist. This is the initial situation before try-in, and now we have on the right side the try-in of the veneers. You can see everything is correct. And now we have the full mouth with the veneers in place, try-in. And this is the result after check. Also the occlusal surfaces, you can see on the molars and on the premolars that they are really natural, and they look really like natural teeth. And you have a before picture, right and left. and you have an after picture before, after. Going to the second case, it's a more easy case, but here it's a case where I have done also press, and also in the same time I have done a crown milled from amber mill. The question is, why press or why milled? If we speak about press ceramic, of course it's cheaper because we do not have to invest in a CAD/CAM system, in a scanner, or in different materials. If we speak about milling ceramic, yes, it's more expensive because we have to invest in materials and in machines, or we can send it to a milling center, but it's faster, it's easier. We can increase our productivity of the laboratory, and it's more efficient. Ready blanks, you can see that they are translucent, and I will explain you why. But let's see some tips and tricks for today regarding amber mill. Important is when you use the cam after you finish the design cam, to choose from the program lithium disilicate. Some of the cam, they already have kind of features, and you can choose different materials. After choosing lithium disilicate, you can choose the holder, and then you can choose, as you can see on the right side, that inside of the cam we have amber mill options. It's important to know that to mill lithium disilicate, you have to do wet milling, and always you have to use diamond burrs. The workflow that I use in the laboratory, it's with 3mm burr. They start to mill with 1mm, and at the end with 0.6mm radius milling burr. What I also like regarding amber mill or the digital workflow is that I can check the end result before to be ready, because the software can show me a simulation and I can decide if it's okay or not. I can check it, and if I want, if I can see that something is wrong, I can just redo it, or just to do a short modification and the end to have the right result. But let's see the case with amber mill, a single central. After the design in CAD, we mill it. And what's important after milling, you have to know what kind of procedure do you use. Do you do a dry cut, or you use a wet cut? When you use a dry cut, it's important not to push too much because you can have cracks. Cutting, it's important to use wheels, stone wheels with short pressure to remove the sprue and then to finish the area where was the sprue. Also, what I like at amber mill is that even if it's not the final restoration, you can polish. You can see on the right side the difference between the surface after milling and the final surface after polishing, after manual polishing. And also what I like at the amber mill is that you can prepare the dye. You can use fit check material. You can check the crown onto the die, and also you can grind inside if sometimes you have small areas or some small problems to have a perfect fitting. Why I like amber mill? Because we have only one block with one translucency, but using fire and treatment, you can obtain from the same block 4 different translucencies. You can change the opacity just playing with the final temperature at the co-firing program. So from one blank, you are able to obtain an HT or an MT or an LT or an MO restoration. You can see the programs, for example, for the HT, If I want to have an HD restoration at the end, I go to 850 degrees. If I decide, okay, I don't like so much my restoration, is too much translucency, I can change it in 20-25 minutes, just changing the final temperature at 825, and in the same day I have an empty restoration without redoing my work or without repressing my work. Also, for those who are really fast or they want to finish the works really quick, there is a firing program called rapid mode, and in 60 minutes you can change your translucency of the final restoration. You can see on the screen from HT, from the normal ingot to the HT, MT, LT, and MO. What's important, we can change the opacity just with refiring the crown and not redo the work to have the correct opacity. But this is possible only in one way, from HT to MO. It's not possible from MO to HT. Also, if we check the producer, the information from the manufacturer, for the tabletops, they recommend us to have 1 millimeter thickness. For the veneers, 0.3. But as you can see on the left side on the screen, for the amber mill, I was able to mill it at 0.2 millimeters, which is more than perfect. And for the amber press, on the left side on the screen, on the lower side, you can see that for 2 tabletops, actually for 2 360 degree veneers, on the smaller areas, I was able to press those 2 tabletops at 0.36 for both of them, which means that for one tabletop I have 0.16, not 1 millimeter as the manufacturer is recommending us. Even at these thin areas, I do not have problems with my restorations. Regarding amber mill, what I like, another good thing from this product is that we have really sharp edges and we have stable edges after milling. You have seen at 0.2 milling without any kind of issues. But let's get back to our case, single central. I have done in 2 different options. One was CAD mill, the other one was normal wax press. I just press a core and then I start to build up the ceramic. On the other hand, the CAD mill, I start to glaze it. Second step, second color, not the second glaze, just the second color. On the right side after pressing and wash brand. And then I start to build up the ceramic, normal dentin, different effects and so on. But on the CAD mill, the work was already ready. While on the build-up technique, I still had to use more time to be able to obtain the final result. Then at the end, before firing, and the final result after firing, the first bake. Sometimes you have to do the second bake, and also again, you have to do the glaze. The end result, and you have a comparison between amber mill 3D stain, CAD mill, and also amber press and build-up. I think we have good results, almost the same results, 95% the same result, but we are faster with amber mill. Sometimes we are more precise with amber press and build-up. Let's see a few things. With amber mill, we are faster. We use 1 blank for different opacities. It's easy to handle. The computer is doing already the shape and the form that we choose from the library. We save time. It's easy to redone it if something is wrong. It's cost effective because our time is more expensive compared with the material. And we have, of course, predictable results because we do a 3D stain on the external surface. Regarding amber press, we can say that it's not more expensive compared with mill technique. Because for the milling technique, we need a CAD cam, we need a milling machine. Sometimes for the press technique, we need 4 ingots for 4 different opacities. We have to have build-up skills. We have to have shape skills because the computer is not doing for us compared with amber mill. We have to invest a lot of time. We have to do the wax. We have to invest, to press, to devest, to cut, and so on. And of course, we can manage more easy our time when we work with amber press. But sometimes when we do not know how to build up and to obtain a really good result at the end, we do not have a predictable result. So the question, do we do press or we do mill for our restoration? My answer to you is just select your cases, think what you have to do and what kind of procedure or workflow you have to use. Depending on your case, then you have to choose your protocol. Let's go to the third case, a full mouth case. What I love at this case is that we have also here non-prep, minimal prep, we have crowns, we have veneers, we have build-up ceramic, we have zirconia, we have implants, we have aesthetic, and also we have function at the end. And this case, I can say that that was done analogic and digital in the same way. As you can see, from the canine to canine, everything is cut back for build-up. From the premolar to molar, everything is monolithic. So what I have done here, I milled everything in wax. I just rechecked it on the model. I was rechecking the fitting with the cervical wax. I checked again the occlusion, the function, and then I start to press it. Let's see some advantages regarding the first advantage is that in combination with analogical wax, milled wax or with 3 plungers. We can use 3 big ingots without any kind of issues. Also, we have the possibility to press different colors, 3 different opacities of the ingots in one pressing. It's really easy to use the press technique for everybody. The investment is at low cost, and of course, it's open for everybody, this technique. But for this case, as I told you, we have also implants, and I decided to do a zirconia core for the implants. And then, because it's really easy to match with amber the colors on the zirconia structures with the press structures, I use, for this case, for this implant, amber release POZ to press over zirconia. And what I recommend you, after you mill and sinterize the zirconia, to do a stabilization of the zirconia. You can see the program up to 1050 degrees to stabilize the zirconia before press over. Regarding press over zirconia with amber, you can see the parameters. It's 930 degrees, the maximal temperature, and you can press. And sometimes when you have just 1 crown and you want to be sure that everything is correct, you can use an extra sprue because the amount of the material is too much and you can have some issues if you don't do it. Regarding the colors, we have HT and LT from bleach colors to different values. And also we have 3 different ingots like R10, small ingots, R15, bigger ingots, and R20 for full mouth cases. But sometimes, even if we follow the correct workflow and the correct protocols, sometimes we do mistakes. And what kind of mistakes we can do? Like in this picture, I didn't pay attention to the program that I chose from the furnace after during the glaze, and I choose too high temperature, and you can see the result. It's like a melted wax. So that's why be careful when you choose the firing programs. As you have seen, when I start to do the CAD, everything from the canine to canine was cut back, and I start to build up the ceramic. Always, or it's better to use a silicon index to see the space that you have and to know how much ceramic you build up. And after build up, we start to do the shape, we start to do the texture in the normal way. And what I like to this case is that on the canine, we have an implant. On the other canine, it's a natural tooth. So we have a 360-degree veneer, and also we have a crown on the implant. Ready case, implants, hybrid abutments, or the directly screw retain restorations. We have build up ceramic from the canine to canine, and also we have monolithic on the posterior region. Everything is ready to be sent to the dentist, and this is the end result 1 week after the cementation. And you can see on the right side of the screen, we have a natural tooth. On the left side, we have the implant. We have the veneers for the lower jaw, crowns for the upper jaw. We have monolithic on the posterior. Everything is pressed, built up in the frontal region. And you can see that even with 3D stain technique and with the build-up technique, we have a good result at the end. 1 week after the cementation. And of course, we recheck again the occlusion. We recheck again the function, and you can see that everything is correctly done. Also, we can check on an X-ray. We can see the implants that they are integrated. We can see the veneers. Everything is correctly done. Going to another interesting case, which I called it limitless. Why? Because again, I used amber press. Again, it's a really interesting case without preparation of the teeth. Also, it's interesting because the patient is a dentist, and his request was to have monolithic veneers, monolithic restoration without preparing the teeth, and to change also the final color. What I have done here, I start to do the wax up. The dentist did the mock-up, and then we realized that the space that we have it's so less that it's impossible to wax the crowns or the veneers, to remove our dies and just to press them. My decision for this, it was a technique that I saw it at August Bruguera more than 4 years ago, I think. And what he did, he just duplicate the teeth, the models, and then pour an investment material inside of the new model and start to build up the ceramic directly on the investing material. And what I have done here, I start to invest my veneers because they are really thin directly on the investing material without removing them. I use the R15 ingots because you can see, depending on the wax weight, you can choose what kind of ingots you can use. Always, when you have more than 0.7 grams of wax, it's important to use a 200-gram muffle, not a small muffle of 100 grams. The pressing parameters are the same, like in the first case, 915 degrees. And then divesting, like in the first case, the same procedure, 110 microns, and of course, glass purse at the end. Also, because here, this case was done without preparation, you can see I use the same protocol. I use a fitting material, I check it, and some areas where my veneers or my crowns, they do not fit correctly, I can remove the excess with a stone. and then I can remove the sprues with the stone wheel. What's important when we use grinding tools, just be careful with at the speed and adjust your speed according to your tools or the size of the tools that you use. As you can see, I was able to press in this with this technique the tabletops or the crowns at 0.2 millimeters. Of course, in some areas where it was necessary to change the shape of the teeth, I add more wax, and the thickness of the veneer it's 0.6 or 0.7. But it's on a non-prepared teeth. Also, regarding the staining technique for the monolithic restorations, we have two options, or I do two different options. One, it's a three-step technique glaze, where the first I do a glaze, a transparent glaze, and then after firing, I use the colors to do the customization of my monolithic restorations, and then a new firing. And after the second firing, I just adjust the color to be sure that everything is correct, and a new transparent glaze on top. Also, you can obtain a really nice monolithic restoration with one-step glaze when, as you can see on the screen, I start with glaze, then I add shade, I customize on the occluser surface in the way that I consider it correctly, and then I fire into the stove at 710 degrees using glaze, and everything is done in one step. Regarding the firing parameters for the build-up ceramic, it's important to know what kind of ceramic you work. For this case was a low fusing ceramic. I build up everything after wash firing. You can see the parameters. And also I go one slide back. Of course, you can use high fusing ceramic. You have just to change the parameters for your stove and of course the ceramic. And I try to do all the time, everything one build up technique, one time. And this is the end result after monolithic 3D stain and build up ceramic for the frontal region. Everything, which recheck it on the model, recheck the function. And this is the end result in the mouth. Lower jaw, left side, it's the before, without preparation. Right side is after, just after check the veneers, trying into the mouth without cementing. The same thing, the upper jaw, on that you can see the teeth without preparation. On the right side, you can see thin 360-degree veneers on the teeth, and this is the end result on this case. Without preparation is not really a perfect case, but it's more than okay, because the patient requested monolithic restoration for the posterior region. It was really easy to check the occlusion, to have a correct occlusion without any kind of surprises or issues. And if you will follow the workflow that you have just seen in this lecture, doesn't matter if you use amber press or amber mill, doesn't matter if you choose 3D stain technique or you choose to do a build-up in the frontal areas, you can see on the left side that from the premolar to molar, everything is monolithic. From the canine to canine, everything is build-up ceramic, and we have the same value, we have the same chroma, and we have a really nice texture. Also, we can combine it. You can see here implants and veneers. We are able to obtain really good results. Also, what I like at amber, because this case is on telescopes with artificial gingiva, you can see that the telescope bridge, it's in zirconia with press over zirconia. Everything else, it's amber press, monolithic and build up. At the end, we have the same value, we have the same color, if we have or zirconia. Another case with a lower jaw with zirconia, upper jaw lithic, monolithic on the posterior, canine, the canine. The same called this almost the same result. You can see everything monolithic on the lower jaw and on the posteriors, and build up ceramic on the frontal areas from the canine to canine. You see that there is a beautiful integration into the mouth. This time, this case was with the prep teeth. And also, we can obtain the same results in a full digital protocol. For example, on the left side, it's a full mouth case without preparing the teeth. And on the right side, after a full digital protocol with amber mill, just 3D stained, we have a really nice aesthetic and functional result. We can use this kind of protocol, doesn't matter if it's analogic or if it's digital or combined, for implants, for veneers. And regarding my answer for you today, regarding the take-home message, think different and change your workflow. Doesn't matter if it's analogic or digital. And regarding the conclusion, I want to share with you a few ideas. Analogic or digital, my answer to you from the first question, it's up to your needs. You have to select your cases. You have to see how you can do it better and faster. Another thing is that for sure, for me, if I want to give you an answer, for me, it's not analogic, it's not digital. It's a synergy, it's a combination between analogic workflow and the digital workflow. If it's a question about press or mill, again, almost the same answer to you. It's select your cases to be able to do it really good or close to perfection. Regarding the last case that you have seen, limitless, of course, it's possible to do it without any kind of issues at the end. And the final conclusion for today, it's important to know the materials that you work. You know, it's important to know your working protocol, and it's important how you do your selections. With this last slide, I want to pass the microphone to Karen, and I want to thank you for your attention. And of course, Karen, if you have questions or the customers that they want to ask something, I can go back to some slides, or I can just start to answer to their questions. Karen?
Cristian, thank you. That was yeah, that was great. That was really interesting. We haven't had any questions come through just yet on the chat, but please feel free to send those over now. I've just had a couple of people who've messaged me a couple of questions, which I'll just ask if that's okay. The first one is, how durable is amber press in comparison to Emacs? Sometimes the Emacs can fracture when it's processing.
It's more easy to process compared with Emacs, much easier, and you do not have issues. You have seen that I was able to press it really thin and have no issues. Even if it's not pressed really thin, you can just grind it up to 0.1, 0.2, even under this without any kind of issues at the end. And what's more important is that we have follow-up of the cases after 5 years done with this protocol, done with amber press, and we do not have any kind of surprises. Even if the manufacturer is telling us that for the tabletops we have to have at least 1 millimeter thickness into the occlusion on the occlusal surface, you have seen that I was able to do really thin tabletops, 0.2, and they are still into the mouth. I was able to grind them without any kind of issues.
Brilliant, thank you. Another question, how do you glaze the monolithic restoration?
How do I glaze them?
Yes, yeah.
I can go back to one slide. I showed you that I use 2 different techniques. one is a three-step technique glaze. First, transparent, then firing. Second, glaze is with stains to obtain the right chroma. Firing again, and then at the end, the third glaze with transparent just adjust a little bit of the chroma if it's necessary, not all the time. Or you can use the one-step technique where I can add everything, first glaze, then the shades, and then individualization of the crown or of the veneer, and then directly into the stove, and we have the final result with just one firing.
Brilliant, thank you. Which glaze stains do you use?
Since 2 years ago, I started to work with Mio, and for me, it's the perfect result, and they have a lot of options. I can do it really easy, and I prefer to use it with Neo, but of course you can use any kind of glazes on top without problems.
Thank you. Can you press amber directly to metal?
I never tried, and I think it's better to cement on top of the metal, because you have to do an opaque on top of the metal, and then you can just cement them. For example, I can go to the first slide where it's a case done 4 years ago with amber press and with amber, and you can see that it's a titanium structure on the upper jaw on implants, the gingivite ceramic, and all the crowns are single crowns on top, but they are not over pressed on the maxillary area. They are just cemented.
Brilliant, thank you. How easy, this is one of the questions that's come through to me. How easy is it to set the firing cycle to choose the opacity with the amber mill?
Can you ask me again, please? Sorry.
Sorry, how easy is it to set the firing cycle to choose the opacity that's with the amber mill?
First of all, you have to see what's the value of your restoration after first firing, when you decide to do it HT, or if you know that you need a more opaque crown or veneer, then you decide you go directly to another firing program, directly to MO or directly to MT. And sometimes if you work with the patient close to you, you see that you need another opacity, and you just change it by the program.
Okay, thank you. This is just about the shades of the material. Are the amber mill shades relatively accurate to the Vita A to D shade guide, or are they slightly lighter, a bit more like the Emax?
Yeah, there are two questions. I will give you two different answers. First of all, compare with Vita shades. We have to think that Vita shades, the thickness of the shade guide, it's different from the incisional margin to the crown margin. It's thinner and thicker. Also, you have to think that the veneers are not so thick compared with the Vita shades crowns. The colors are almost the same. And the second answer, compare with the Emax, the amber press has more value, which is really helpful for the technicians, because at the end, the final restoration into the mouth, they will not look gray like they look with other products.
Thank you. What software do you use for the digital wax up?
Excuse me?
What software do you use for wax up?
Since I think almost 10 years, we work with ExoCAD. We also tried and we have also in the lab a tree shape, but most of the cases they are done with Exocad.
Thank you. Is it possible as well? I think your internet might have just dropped slightly when you mentioned the name of the stain that you used.
The stain that I use, it's Mio.
Okay, and someone's just asked what ceramics do you use also?
Sorry, can you ask me again? I lost you.
Which ceramics do you use?
Which?
Ceramics.
Which ceramics?
Sorry.
For amber press, which is dedicated for low fusing ceramics, you can use all kind of ceramics. Doesn't matter. So you do not have limits. It's not like, okay, you buy an ingot from an X company and you have to use just the build-up ceramic that they say. No, on amber press, you can use all the ceramics which are low fusing ceramics. For amber master, you can use normal ceramics that you use for zirconia, because amber master is for high fusing ceramic, like Creation CT or Creation ZE. For example, in my lab, I use Creation ZE, I use Creation CT, and I combine them depending on the case and depending on what I press, what kind of structure I have for that case.
Brilliant, thank you. Can we just ask, sorry, this is another one from me. What burr yield do you get when milling the amber mill?
Regarding amber mill, what?
The burr yield.
The burr. The burrs are, I use my CAD/CAM system. It's from IMES. It's a German company, IMES iCore. And when I bought it, they delivered with all kind of burrs, and they are normal diamond burrs for lithium disilicate. So they can use any kind of diamond burrs dedicated for lithium disilicate.
Okay. And how compatible is amber with different types of porcelain?
Amber, it's 100 compatible with all kind of low fusing porcelains without problems. So you can use Evoclar, you can use GC, you can use Creation, you can use I don't know, any kind of you can use HASS 750. So you have no limit.
Brilliant, thank you. And I think this is the last one. Oh, sorry, another one's just come through on the chat. How many units of amber can you grind before replacing the burr?
Regarding amber mill, I think so.
It doesn't say. I don't know if that person can just put on which one it is. Yeah, mill.
Yeah, mill at least 50 units.
Brilliant, thank you.
It's really important to understand that you have to have the right CAM system, not only the right burrs and the right material. You have to have the right CAM, which combined with your machine, it's the optimization between the CAM and the machine. It's really good. Otherwise, for example, to be more clear for everybody, in the laboratory, I have 3 different CAMs from 3 different companies. I have 3 milling machines from the same company. But the best result it's with the CAM that I have directly from IMES, because they know how their machines they work, and they know how they should combine all the important things to have at the end a really good result.
Brilliant, thank you. And just one more. Someone's put, I'm reluctant to change from pressing to milling lithium disilicates, as I thought the aesthetics weren't as good. And they're just wondering if that is the case with amber mill.
Sorry? Somebody wants to change?
They're reluctant to change from pressing to the milling, as they thought the aesthetics weren't as good. Just is that the case? Is that what you would think, or?
The aesthetic result, it's the same, because it's the same product. You have the same result. You have the same value. What's really different on amber mill is that you have the possibility, without redoing the case or redoing the crown or the veneer, to have different translucency. Just change the co-firing program, and you have another result at the end. You have a better opacity or a higher opacity and less translucency. But the aesthetic result, the HT, the LT is the same like the press ceramic.
Brilliant, that's great. Well, thank you very much, Cristian, and thanks once again to Brian and HASS for helping to make this webinar happen. We just hope that that's given you a good introduction and an overview of the HASS amber products and what we can offer. We do have some special offers available on the amber products. If you are interested in those, please don't hesitate to get in touch. The contact details are just on the screen at the moment. We are also still open at DB. We've got a skeleton team of staff available in the office, and we are still dispatching orders. So if there is anything that you need, then obviously please again get in touch. I'll be sending a link out probably either tomorrow or Monday, just for you to claim your eCPD. So today's session is for 1 hour. So I will be sending that through to you shortly. So thank you once again for attending. Let you all get back to the sunshine now, and we hope you're all keeping well, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Brian. All the best.
Yeah, same to you. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.